let's get started. Let's just angle this a little bit. Better, okay. So we're gonna start with our feet hip distance apart, so you can feel around, find your hip bones, point your fingers down. You want your big toe to be just underneath your hips, underneath where you're pointing. The weight equally distributed between the big toe, the outside of the foot and your heel. And your knees nice and loose. So, hi Simon. So if you are able to have straight legs, that's absolutely amazing, well done you. But if when you straighten your legs you sort of end up locking your knees in that kind of tight position, then just have your knees slightly bent. That's absolutely fine. That's what I do because I'm not able to straighten my legs without getting tension. So we are gonna imagine we've got a string coming out of the top of our head, like a marionette puppet holding us up. And we're just gonna swing from our hips and check that there's nothing you can crash into. We're not gonna move our arms, but they're gonna just swing round with the momentum as we swing. And the reason for this, it just helps to kind of warm us up, kind of shake out some of the creases in our bodies at the moment, get the blood pumping, just kind of hopefully give us a little bit of energy. Very good. Okay, and just shake it out. Okay, so each week we're choosing another different body part just because, everybody holds tension in a different place. So hopefully at some point we get to a body part that you think, oh yeah, I do have tension there, this helps. Even if it doesn't, it's always good to sort of stretch everything anyway. So this week we're kind of traveling down kind of to our thighs. So if you grab one of your feet, it's kind of a balancing exercise as well. You want to feel the stretch down, just stand back a little bit so you can see. We want to feel the stretch sort of down our thigh here. If you really struggle with the balancing, then you can hold on to something for now, shake it out, and the other side. But then you'll also know that, balancing is maybe something that you need to work on a little bit. So that can be something you factor into your sort of routine. What often helps is to sort of find something to focus on so that you can shake it out. We'll just sort of put one leg to the side, lift up your toe and just kind of give yourself a little stretch here, feeling it down there, and the other side. Very good. Yeah, just finding out, the sort of balance. If you focus on something, I find that helps. If you continue to have really bad balance, maybe it could be an ear problem or something. People say it's not necessarily to do with your vision, but I used to have really bad balance and I did work on it, but when I got my glasses, I suddenly got much better balance. So I kind of think maybe I needed glasses for a while before I realised that I did, but that's just me. Okay, so we're gonna get back into our good standing position. Feet hip distance apart, nice loose knees, nice elongated spine, long neck, shoulders down. And we're just gonna breathe, arms just relax by your side. If you were gonna bend your elbows, they're gonna bend out this way as opposed to having them sort of like this. And you're just going to breathe. We're going to get into a little rhythm, and what I want you to do is think about this big muscle under your rib cage called the diaphragm, and it pushes upwards to squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relaxes, drops down and allows the air to flood back into your lungs. So in a minute we're going to do some arm movements that are going to reflect that. So we're going to bring our hands up like this as we breathe out to represent pushing the air out of our lungs. Then when we relax and drop the diaphragm, our hands are going to relax, drop down like the diaphragm, and then we're going to lift our arms up, which represents our rib cage expanding as our lungs fill with air. So So first we're just going to get into a little rhythm of just breathing, basically. And I want you to just be visualizing the diaphragm, like what's happening internally. And we're just going to bend and straighten our legs. Again, you don't have to have your legs completely straight. And if I don't want any sort of jerky movements or anything like this, just nice, smooth kind of bend and straighten. And on the up is when we're going to breathe in, and on the up is when we're going to breathe out. So the bending the knee is a sort of little and kind of bit. So it'll be like, and out, and in, and push, and relax. Breathe out, breathe in. And we'll add the arm movements on the next go. So out and in, and out and in, and to the side on the next one. Very good. And shake it out. Okay, so we're going to get back into our comfortable position. If you want to sit down at this point, that's absolutely fine. I still want you to try and get into the same position, and then you're just going to sort of bend your knees down and, you know, comfortably get into the seat. Still having the same sort of principles, nice long spine, shoulders down, arms by your side, or if you're sitting you can just rest them on your lap if you want to. Try not to make your shoulders go up when you do that. Don't cross your legs and don't hold your knees together, and everybody else just, you know, standing in the exact same way as we were, weight equally distributed between the big toe, the outside of the foot, and the heel. And we're just going to find a spot on the wall that is roughly our own eye height. Ideally, if you've got a mirror, and then you can be just looking into your own eyes, because that's obviously the perfect height. Also, you know, it does help having a mirror handy, because then as and when you're, you know, any bad habits sort of creep in, you're more likely to notice them, because, you know, if you're comfortable standing like this with one shoulder up, then you don't necessarily notice it unless you see it, and now I can see, oh yeah, that looks really wonky. But if it's comfortable, you don't necessarily notice as the bad habits kind of creep in. So it does help to look in the mirror, but even if you haven't got the mirror, you know, you can still be mindful of all of these things. And, you know, ideally at some point you can sort of notice these things even when you can't see them. You know, you can just think about them and relax. Okay, so we're just going to channel the breath to the spot that's our own eye height, and it's something a bit like this. When you get to the end of the breath, I want you to just try and push a little bit more. There's almost always a bit more air in your lungs than you realise. If you feel like you can't push anymore, you can put your hands on that bottom rib cage and just give it a little bit of a squeeze. Sometimes that does help, you know, especially if your diaphragm isn't very strong. Make sure if you put your hands on your waist, you don't lift your shoulders as you do. Still keep your shoulders down. So then when you finally got to the end of the breath, I want you to just hold it for a few seconds, as long as you can. Hold, 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 hold. Then finally, you're going to just relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in. So you're not going to take in a breath, you're just going to relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the breath to come back in. Really try and visualize your diaphragm pushing, 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 squeezing the air out of your lungs. If you're squeamish about internal body parts or anything, then you can imagine that your lungs are balloons, or if there's like a syringe, or like a sort of balloon pump or something like this. Whatever works for you. If you can't sort of picture it in your mind's eye, that's absolutely fine. Everybody's brain works in a slightly different way, so whatever kind of makes sense for you, to really just be kind of imagining what's happening as you're doing it. Your mind and your body are not two separate things, so if you're trying to think of what you're doing as you're doing it, it's really helpful to kind of ingrain it in your muscle memory as well. Okay, so come to the end of whatever breath you're currently on. Then we're going to switch to a f sound. So some people make the f like this. That's not very helpful for this exercise, because you're making the space so small to squeeze the air out of. So we want it to be a nice sort of open, so that we can still push that air out in the nice controlled way that we have been doing. So whenever you're ready in your own time, very good. So come to the end of whatever breath you're currently on. So now we're going to just get back into we'll just shake that out in case any tension kind of crept in from doing that exercise. So now we're just going to get back into our comfortable position, feet hip distance apart. If you're sitting, don't cross your legs, or hold your knees together. And so we're just going to have a nice elongated spine, like the string coming out the top of our head, shoulders down, arms relaxed and by our sides, or just lightly resting on our lap if we're sitting. Just make sure you don't raise your shoulders or anything. And I want you to look at your spot on the wall that is your own eye level. And then I just want you to close your eyes. And we're just going to breathe completely normally. You can breathe through your nose, your mouth, a combination of the two, whatever is comfortable for you. But what I really want you to sort of be thinking about is what's happening inside, with your diaphragm pushing to squeeze the air out of your lungs, and then relaxing and dropping and just allowing the air to flood back in. And you're just going to get into your own little rhythm. And whilst you're doing that, I want you to listen to whatever sounds you can hear outside the room you're in. So there might be cars driving past, or birds singing. It might be completely silent. Then you're going to listen to that silence and all the other sounds and things that are going on in your mind and elsewhere. You might hear them. You can't block out the world completely, but you're just not going to listen to them. You're just going to listen to the sounds outside the room, and all the while you're going to push with your diaphragm to squeeze the air out of your lungs. Then relax, drop the diaphragm, and just allow the air to flood back in. So now I want you to continue pushing with your diaphragm, squeezing the air out of your lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm and just allowing the air to flood back in. Now I want you to take a step closer with your mind's eye, and I want you to just listen to whatever sounds you can hear inside the room that you're in. So there might be a tap dripping, there might be a clock ticking, it might be completely silent. Then you're going to listen to that silence, and all the while push with your diaphragm, squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relax, drop the diaphragm and just allow the air to flood back in. Very good. So now I want you to continue pushing with your diaphragm, squeezing the air out of your lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm, allowing the air to flood back in. Now I want you to take another step closer with your mind's eye, and I want you to listen to your own body. So you might be able to hear your heartbeat, you might be able to hear yourself breathing, you might be completely silent. Then you're going to listen to that silence, and all the while you're going to push with your diaphragm to squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relax, drop the diaphragm and just allow the air to flood back in. Very good. So now I want you to continue pushing with your diaphragm, squeezing the air out of your lungs, then relaxing, dropping the diaphragm, allowing the air to flood back in. Now I want you to put those three things together. So I want you to listen to your own body, I want you to listen to the room that you're in, and I want you to listen to the world beyond the room that you're in. And I want you to feel the connection between those things, and feel your presence in the space, and feel yourself present in the space. And all the while you're going to push with your diaphragm, squeeze the air out of your lungs, then relax, drop the diaphragm and just allow the air to flood back in. now in your own time, I want you to just slowly open your eyes, take a little look around, feel yourself in the space. Excellent session, well done everybody. So we're going to finish as we always do with our little sing-along. This week's song is I'm Yours. I've got a link to some lyrics in the description. So whilst you're finding that, I'll take this opportunity to say thank you so much for joining me. I might not do a full week next week. I might just do Tuesday and Friday. I'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, whilst we're singing, I want you to try and put some of this breathing into practice so that as you sing, you squeeze the words out with the air from your lungs, and then you're going to relax, drop the diaphragm to allow the in-breath. Well, you down me, and you bet I felt it. Tried to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cold I run out, I'll be giving it my best. This and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. Reckon it's again my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. This cannot wait. I'm yours. So open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and man, you're free. Look into your heart and you'll find love, 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 love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and it's our God-forsaken right to be loved, love, 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 love. So I won't hesitate no more, no more. This cannot wait. I'm sure there's no need to complicate. Our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. Da 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 da. Hey, 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 hey. Well, I've been spending way too long to get my tongue in the mirror, bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass. So I drew in your face and I laughed. I guess what I was saying is there ain't no better reason to rid yourself of vanity and just go with the season. It's what we aim to do. Our name is our virtue, so I won't hesitate no more, no more. This cannot wait. I'm yours. Da 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 da. Hey, 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 hey. Thank you very much. I will see you again tomorrow at 11. Have a great week and keep breathing. Lots of love. Bye.